Alright guys, we're going to go to step 2 of our program implementation. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look over step 1. I hope to get a couple of these steps in a short period of time so that we can go ahead and get through these steps, and then you can start program planning and implementing your exercise program. I also hope to have videos up. I'm going to try to make it into the gym tomorrow and film some actual lifts and some actual machines that we have within the weight room, so that you can see different angles of how to do those lifts, and basically give you the names of those lifts as well. Getting to our PowerPoint, step 2 of exercise selection, you're going to see a lot of terms interchangeable. Athlete, you just know that if you're not an athlete or you're not training for an athletic event, then you can just simply replace that with an individual's needs or with your own needs. But when we're talking about step 2 in program planning, we're looking at exercise selection, and choosing exercise for a resistance training program requires knowing several different things. The movement and muscular requirements of the sport, or what you're training for. The individual's exercise technique experience. As I've said, if you're more advanced and you know the Olympic style lifts, you know free weights, then you can tend to tailor your workout more towards those. If you're more comfortable with just simply setting up machines and staying on the machines for a couple weeks, then that's fine as well. Also, the equipment available, that's not necessarily a conflict with us, because as we're able to get into the gym, and with you attending DCCC, you have access to that fitness center, and they do have free weights, they do have the barbells, they have dumbbells, and they also have a plethora of machine weights that exercise each and every body part. And then, of course, here's our problem: the amount of training time available. Of course, this is a hybrid course, so as we meet face to face, we only have a few Saturdays in this short 8-week period that we can actually meet face to face. But hopefully you're getting the skills, you're getting the knowledge that you can take this home, or you can take this to a Gold's Gym or to a YMCA or to a Planet Fitness and apply this to yourself. The next slide is going to just be a continuation of exercise selection. Look at your exercise types. The planks that we did as far as our warm-ups and just getting our body moving, those are core exercises. That is working your core, your abdominals, your lower back. It's going to recruit one or more larger muscle areas. We were recruiting almost every muscle within our body doing this. It's going to involve 2 or more primary joints, receive priority because of their direct application to what you are training for, whether that be a sport, whether that be for weight loss, whether that be for any other goal that you have in mind. Assistant exercises are going to recruit smaller muscle areas. Normally it's going to involve only one primary joint. You may hear this as isolation or isolating a muscle, and it's considered less important to improving actual sport performance. If we look at this from an actual sport and athletic standpoint, the free weights, the power cleans, the Olympic type lifts such as that, and the split jerks and the deadlifts, those are recruiting a massive amount of muscles, large muscle areas involving many joints, and that is going to tailor towards exercise performance. For us, for the general population, a combination of both is going to be more than enough. With just starting out, assistant exercises is the way to go. Step 2 within your exercise selection, you have exercise types: structural exercises and then power exercises. This is emphasizing structural exercises, emphasizing loading the spine directly or indirectly. These are things such as the power clean. These are things such as the squats. Power exercises are structural exercises that are performed very quickly or explosively. These are the split jerks, the push press. These are going to be your free weight type and your Olympic style of lifts that we have not necessarily gone over in class. But if you're more trained and you're more advanced in weightlifting and you're an athlete, then you're probably familiar with this. But just remember, within step 2, we're looking at exercise selection for you as an individual, whether that be sport specific, whether that be goal oriented. Know that this program is specifically going to be designed towards your goals, just like we talked about in step 2. The movement analysis of the sport or the individual, the sport-specific exercises, the more similar the training activity is to the actual sport movement, the greater the likelihood that there will be a positive transfer to that sport. Once again, this is more sport-specific, so we don't necessarily have to abide by that, especially if we're just generally wanting to gain muscular strength and gain or lose weight. When we're talking about these sport-specific exercises, we're also talking about the concept of SAID, specific or specificity adaptation to imposed demands. You'll also recognize this in Chapter 4 and Chapter 8 if you are reading your textbook and you're reading the chapters. Table 17.3, I'm not going to go over, but if you want to pause the video and magnify the image, you can. These are just going to tell you some related exercises that relates to a sport or to whatever you feel that you would like to do. Rowing is very big, especially within the CrossFit. Of course, running and sprinting is something that we can all do as far as walking, jogging, running, and throwing and pitching. If you decide to play an adult softball, if you decide to just get out in the general adult population and just try to play a sport, whether that be an adult leg softball or a church leg softball, or you go out and try to play racquetball at a YMCA, you can pause the video now, magnify this table, and look at some of the related exercises that can help you within the actual movement pattern that you are doing. Further, with step 2 in exercise selection, you want muscle balance, and you'll notice the two terms agonist and antagonist. The agonist is the muscle or muscle group actively causing the movement, and antagonist is going to be the opposite, the sometimes passive muscle or muscle group located on the opposite side of the limb. So agonist is the one that's actually performing or causing the movement. Your antagonist would sometimes be the passive muscle or the muscle group located on the opposite side of that limb. So for example, if we're doing a bicep curl, your agonist muscle, of course, is going to be the biceps brachii, and then your antagonist would be your triceps. Exercises to promote recovery are not going to involve a high load or a high muscular stress on your nervous system, but it's going to promote movement and it's going to promote restoration. It's going to get blood flow to that area so that it can begin to start healing, and hypertrophy can hopefully occur or will occur. Exercise technique and experience, I touched on this within our lecture before the workout that we did on Saturday. It's all going to boil down to experience, and you can look at the related videos prior to this. What is your experience that you have? And even your experienced individuals, one thing may work for somebody that it may not work for someone else. So within this program, there's no one set way of doing things. Do not assume that you will perform an exercise correctly. Make sure that you watch videos on it. Make sure that you look at the images that are on the machines. If you have a question about a free weight, then please feel free to ask. And once again, hopefully these videos will assist you once I get these videos up of the actual lift. The availability of the resistance training equipment, of course, that piggybacks on a couple slides before. That's going to tailor into your exercise selection, and then your available training times per session. Now, step 3 is training frequency. Now, this goes into our FIT technique, our FIT method: frequency, intensity, time, and type. This is the number of training sessions in a given time. Resistance training program is a time period is 1 week. A resistance training program, a common time period, is 1 week. So look at what you're doing after that week. Do you feel anything different? Do you feel that you're getting any gains? Can you feel that your technique is getting better? And then continue with that for a couple weeks just to see how your body's reacting and adapting to that. Training status. The training status affects the number of rest days needed between sessions. As we said, within our frequency or FIT principle, a good ACSM guideline is going to approximately be 3 days per week. You can go a little bit more depending on how experienced you are, but my advice to you is literally read over ACSM guidelines and read over those ACSM recommendations, which is a PDF file on your Moodle. Here is a table, once again, for immediate, intermediate, and advanced. Let's see if I can magnify that so you can see that. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced, you see the frequency guidelines. Hopefully this is going to pretty much tailor and piggyback or be synonymous with your ACSM recommendations. For a beginner, frequency is about 2 to 3 sessions per week, which is exactly what I said just a little while ago. Intermediate, you're looking at 3 to 4, and if you're an advanced weightlifter or weight trainer, you can go 4 to 7 because you're being able to do more lifts for an individual body part. Let me get back to original size here. Okay. Training status: more highly resistance trained. Athletes can augment their training by using a split routine in which different muscle groups are trained on different days. That's just basically what I literally just said in the graph or in the chart that you saw in the slide before this. If you're an advanced individual, you may be able to do 4 or 5 exercises that works on your pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, your overall pectoral muscles. And you can dedicate 1 day for that. That's how you're being able to train in that 5 to 7 day time frame or 4 to 7 day time frame, because you may hit chest on Mondays, you may hit legs on Tuesdays, you may hit back on Thursdays. Wednesday would be your rest, and then you may hit shoulders on Friday. So you can see how that advanced training you can split that up in a lot more frequency. Now, if we're a beginner, we're looking more at total body 2 to 3 times a week. Here's a table. I will zoom in on this so that you can pause the video and just look over this. This is an example of a common split routine. Those of you that are more advanced, you can take this and potentially utilize some of this as far as your training routine and as far as your program implementation. You individuals that are more or so on the beginning or just starting this, this is probably not the best table to abide by. However, you can pull bits and pieces as far as what you like, and possibly pull exercises as far as what you like. Depending on the sports season, if you are an individual athlete, depending on the season, of course, the demands of the sport may limit the time you're available for resistance training. If we look at this as far as the individual, you know that sometimes work gets heavier than, with work, kids, and everyday life. And some areas it can be a lot busier than other times. I know as far as teaching, the end of the year, the end of the school year, it's going to be very much busier in April and May than of course it is in June and July. So I need to tailor my workouts according to that, and still get in a habit of at least getting some type of workout in or some type of physical activity in at each point in time. Training load and exercise type. Athletes who train with a maximal or near maximal leads requires more recovery time before their next training session. Individuals, like I said, you can replace this with just simply individuals. You're going to need, if you train with a higher load, then of course you're going to need more recovery time. You can look at this slide, training frequency, other training. It's going to basically be with overall stress or the load that you've put on your muscles. You need to listen to your body. Consider the effects of aerobic and anaerobic training. Aerobic being simply just cardiovascular or some type of endurance type of activity, and anaerobic is going to be your resistance training. If you're playing a sport, if you are an athlete, if you're a CrossFitter, you like doing that physical demand, then that's fine. If you're working in a physically demanding occupation, then you need to consider the effects of that on your body. We will have step 4 in another video.